This is, again, from was heißt denken, or what is called thinking. The reason I say it in German is I'm going to talk in a moment about the verb heißen, which Heidegger works on. Heidegger begins, as suggested, in the title of the text, with a question. Was heißt denken? A question concerning not only the state of thinking in modern scientific times, but more so what it means to think itself. So what does it mean to think? In other words, his question asks, what is involved in the act and activity of thinking itself? What conditions are necessary for thinking to occur? And furthermore, how does thinking differ from the act of accumulating knowledge? The answer to these questions for Heidegger revolves around the verb heißen. This German verb can mean two different things. It can be to be named. So, ich heiße Michael is, my name is Michael. My name, it's referring to the idea of the name. And it also can mean to be called, which is a lot different than to be named. Because as Heidegger talks, he says we can, if we're named something, the idea of the name is given to us. If we are called something, we are drawn toward it because of calling. If I'm called, I have to, so it's much more of a passive relationship to your name, I think, than it doesn't necessarily mean sort of laziness. It just means that in phenomenological terms, the world calls us toward it as compared to us pronouncing what the world is. And this, of course, is important for what I'm talking about with the good. Hopefully the good is calling us today, instead of us deciding what the good is today. So for Heidegger, it revolves around this verb. We can sense here the difference in the meaning, but we can also sense the phenomenological and thus ontological relations that we have with to be named versus to be called. Heidegger moves quickly, and this is probably a fast move that I've tried to understand. I like that he did it because it's an interesting move, but I sometimes struggle with this move. He turns it into, therefore, instead of it being what is called thinking, what calls us toward thinking. So what draws us toward thinking? The essential question here is therefore a calling and not a naming. So we are not naming the good, we're called toward thinking about the good. It is in this regard that I think we can begin to start sensing an ethics within thinking. It is a being called toward, which opens us to thinking. Thinking is being drawn toward that which we do not know. It's very important. I always tell my students, and they at first are kind of confused because I always say, it's what you don't know that is extremely important. It's to be able to walk around with the openness of your lack is incredibly, for me, the space for ethical being. It's contradictory, but I just read a really good article lately in Science. Science is always kind of pulling me to, as a reference to truth, because I need to find, so neuroscience, they just did a study on the difference between saying I will and will I. and this is a beautiful study, they just had people write. They didn't tell them what they were doing. They just said, come in for 10 minutes, and this group of people on this side write, I will, I will, I will, I will, over and over and over. And on this group, they said, write, will I, will I, will I. The people who wrote will I scored higher over and over and over on the exams that they were giving them. They were giving them the same, they were anagrams, so it's not like, you sit back and it's not like a smart group versus a group that doesn't know. The anagrams are just a quick, we have to make sense of them. And over, and I looked at the graph, it's really amazing. It was almost double that they scored, just on a simple question. And then just to make sense of it, they said, okay, well, some of them will write will, and some of them will write I, just to, is this crazy what's going on? And they found that it was the question that opened them to, I think, the ability to score higher. So it wasn't that knowledge gave them the ability, it's thinking gave them the ability. And I just, even right now, as I say it, I love that, because I try to tell my students all the time that it's not the knowledge that you're gaining, it's the thinking that you're gaining. And I would rather give you thinking than knowledge, because I have no knowledge to give. I only have the ability to inspire or to attempt at showing someone what thinking can do, because it made me who I am today. And I'm not saying I'm a good person. I have my faults. Last night I had too much wine.
What is that besides knowing? Are you simply out there glowing, communicating somehow, other than intellectually knowing something about yourself to communicate?
We have to know who we are. I think that knowledge is important, but I don't think it gives me anything of utmost importance, at least in my life. I have a PhD and I have this, but it isn't what I aspire toward. I aspire much more toward that my life unfolds based on my ability to think, not on my knowledge.
But what is thinking besides knowledge?
I think that
is it simply a process that you're talking about?
Yeah.
Without any content?
Yeah, I think so. It's not without content. That's not what I'm saying. It's not like whatever you think about is the same. It's the process of thinking. I don't think happens that much in the world. I really don't. Again, we'll talk about this, but I'll be just blunt. I personally think that what gets in the way of thinking is our egos and our knowledge, our attempt at thinking that I am something that I'm not. Right?
Isn't that a bit of a different discussion about ego as apart from knowledge?
Well, I think that knowledge is formed based on ego. Yes?
Couldn't you also say that knowledge actually is, the way you're using it, is creating an absolute?
Absolutely.
Which is the absolute. And these absolutes.
I use that word a lot. Yeah, that's
these
exactly.
Absolutes interfere with.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I mean.
With the openness.
I'm totally. I love knowledge. I'm not an anti-knowledge human being. It's that I want more knowledge. Therefore, I don't want to identify with it being who I am. So you're right, yes. Thank you.